Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men.
That's right.
We've gathered some material on, the history behind it, the story, the main themes, and why it's still relevant. Our mission here is really to give you a solid grasp of this significant work, its roots, its impact, without getting too academic.
Exactly. We want to explore why it still hits home.
Yeah.
Steinbeck, well, he was an American novelist known for writing about working folks, poverty, the human condition.
Right.
And interestingly, his knowledge wasn't just bookish. He'd actually lived and worked with migrant workers in California. That experience directly fed into Of Mice and Men, which he published in 1937.
1937. Okay, so that puts us right in the middle of the Great Depression. The sources really emphasize how bad it was, mass unemployment, the economy collapsing, just extreme poverty.
Yeah.
And then you had the Dust Bowl, too, those awful dust storms destroying farms, forcing families off their land. It paints a pretty grim picture.
It really does. And that economic chaos meant the loneliness in the book wasn't just, personal sadness. It was almost systemic. Survival often trumped community.
Which makes George and Lenny's bond stand out even more.
Absolutely. And the novel shows starkly how societal prejudice wasn't just about individual attitudes. It actively crushed the hopes of people already on the margins, like Lenny or Crooks.
Even the title of Mice and Men sort of hints at that vulnerability.
It does.
It comes from that Robert Burns poem, To a Mouse. The famous lines are something like, "The best laid schemes of mice and men gang aft agly."
Which basically means...
Yeah, that even the most careful plans often go wrong. It feels like a warning right from the start.
And that's what's so powerful. The title itself sets this tone of fragility, doesn't it?
Definitely.
It speaks to how easily plans get derailed by outside forces or, our own limitations. A universal idea, but particularly sharp during the Depression era.
So the characters trying to make these plans work are George Milton and Lenny Small, two ranch hands kind of drifting.
Right.
Lenny's this big, incredibly strong guy, but he has a mental disability. George is smaller, sharp, and very protective of him.
And they're moving from place to place, saving up, holding onto this one shared dream.
And cream.
Yeah, owning their own little farm. That's the core of it, really. It means stability, dignity, in a world offering them precious little of either.
But there's always that tension.
Always. Lenny's strength, which could be an asset, becomes dangerous because he doesn't understand it, or the consequences. It constantly foreshadows tragedy.
Okay, so that brings us to the main ideas Steinbeck explores. The American dream is obviously huge here.
Central.
But it seems like Steinbeck is showing how out of reach it was for so many people then. What's your take on his portrayal? It's quite striking.
Well, I think the novel really questions who gets to achieve that dream. It highlights all these barriers: poverty, lack of real opportunity, prejudice that kept people like George and Lenny stuck.
Right.
Their dream, however simple, stays just out of reach, no matter how hard they work or want it.
And against that backdrop of isolation.
Exactly. Against that, the book explores this deep, deep need for connection through George and Lenny's bond. It's beautiful, but also ultimately tragic.
Absolutely. And in such a tough, lonely world, their friendship, even with all its problems, it's like this rare, vital thing, a bit of hope. But the book doesn't shy away from power dynamics, either physical power, social standing, money.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah. And the prejudice is stark against people of color, women, and certainly against Lenny because of his disability.
It's quite sobering how those themes, rooted in the 30s, still feel so relevant today.
Yeah, it's sure.
I mean, the fact that Of Mice and Men has been both banned and widely taught says a lot about its power and maybe the uncomfortable truths it holds.
And all the adaptations, plays, films, it shows it really stuck in our culture.
It did. And its literary merit, its social relevance, they endure. These themes of, broken dreams, the search for dignity, they're universal, aren't they?
Yeah. So wrapping up our quick dive here, Of Mice and Men, born from the Great Depression, uses George and Lenny's story to really examine that elusive American dream, our fundamental need for friendship, and these persistent problems of power and prejudice.
A story that stays with you, even with its sad trajectory.
Yeah.
It still reflects so much about us.
Right, which leads to maybe a final thought for you, the listener. How do you see those struggles, those dreams from the 1930s, echoing in our world now? What best-laid schemes do we still see going, oh, after Gagley, and what does that tell us about being human today?